I made two videos back in December. I think that was December the 11th and December the 16th on what I titled The Coming World Disorder. And I'm going to recommend that you go back and watch the two of them, showing you the thumbnails on them, but there'll be a link at the end of this video. It's going to give you context for what I'm about to tell you, because I think the coming world disorder has just been pushed forward dramatically as a result of the virus situation. We are in a world of globalization. We're in a world that now we're having to deal with the unintended benefits of world globalization. And that is, if you've got it over there, it's going to come over here. And that is the virus we're dealing with. There's a few other things that are creating some ramifications that are making things a little difficult. But it all starts with demographics. And in the first video I did, I explained how in order for an economy to work, you have to have a natural progression of aging within your society. In the early parts of life, you're a dependent. You have to be housed, you have to be cleaned, you have to be fed, you have to be educated. So you are not a contributor to society. Once you get educated, roughly 20, for the next 20 years you become a consumer. As a consumer, you drive the economy. The economy needs consumption. And as from 20 to 40, you're consuming everything. From 40 to 60, the other thing the economy needs is liquidity, and that is capital. And the baby boomers produced immense amount of capital. As we moved from a pension system to a 401k, the baby boomers started investing their own money. Their income was much greater than that of the prior generation, and so they created the money that pushed our economy on the channel that it is. Now, we've had some bumps, but the fact is that's what's driven it. And then as you get from 40 to 60, you're in your peak earning years, you're saving money, and again, the economy grows. From 60 to 80, you're in your retirement years. You pull your money out of investments, put them in more secure investments, and such as CDs, which don't work right now, and the capital, we have less liquidity. Well, our society has benefited tremendously from that. We have, and then beyond that, created globalization, and the world societies have benefited from it. What I then go on in the first video to explain is that the demographics is starting to work against the world. The United States' demographic chart, which I'll show you here, is pretty secure. We have pretty much a pyramid. We have some bumps, but it's working. That's not true on the rest of the world. China is upside down almost. If you remember, they had the one baby policy. So they have a very low population in the younger ages. So they don't have the workforce they need, nor the consuming public they need to support their economy. Another one that is in dire shape is that of Germany. Germany had rather than a baby boom, they had a baby bust. And so Germany has become an export society. You are either an import society or an export or a balanced society. If you are a export society, as Germany, as Poland, as a lot of the third world countries, or not second world countries are, you're dependent on someone else to buy your products. If the world disorder becomes messed up, you don't have any buyers. You are then in a position where you have to change your demographic either by bringing people in or invading other countries to create the missing populations that you don't have. I go into great detail on that in the two videos that I want you to watch. The other issue that I go into is that of oil. back in December, we were becoming oil independent. And through the mining or the extraction of shale, we were no longer in need of our oil, which our oil first number one supplier was Canada, but we're no longer dependent upon the world for our oil needs. Now, three things have happened, two actual things have happened: the virus, and then the oil crisis, where Russia and Saudi Arabia cannot come on an agreement on oil production, and has pushed the price of oil from $45 a barrel to today, it's talked about it's going to go under 20. As a result of that, our oil industry has crashed. I have a friend who owns a manufacturing facility in Texas, and he manufactures valves for natural gas in the oil industry. It's a 60-year-old company. They just laid off 50% of their employees, something that they have never done in their history. They have no orders. What Russia and Saudi Arabia did, there's some believe it was a calculated move to break the United States shale industry. It's worked. You couple that with the fact that electric cars are in our future, that 5G is in our future, and the shale industry, the oil industry, is in trouble. That's a disruption of the world's order. Then there's an attitude. There's an attitude that is prevailing in our presidency. I believe it was Tuesday evening, Donald Trump and Vice President Pence and a parade of other people appeared on their regular evening update on the virus situation. The question was asked, are you considering an executive order to basically ban the export of medical equipment? And President Trump went on a rant about how our medical equipment is the best medical equipment manufactured in the world, but it's not welcome in the European Union. He went on to explain that they have built the specifications for their medical equipment to make it impossible for U.S. manufacturers to ship their medical equipment into the European Union. He then went on to say that this isn't the first time this has happened, that our, and he used the word allies, in the European zone have rigged the trade so that we don't benefit. He then went on to how they don't support NATO. Then the most important thing he said, or that I picked up in that, and I tried to get a video of this and I could not find one, he made the statement, and then there's the trade. They made it almost impossible for us to have a fair deal. They know this. They know I'm just waiting. We have all the advantages. By the way, it's going to be easy when I decide to do it. But this isn't the right time to do it. But we've been treated very, very unfairly by the European Union. I don't know if he could have been clearer, but I think what he just said is the world order of trade, which was established in 1945 when the European countries and Russia and Japan were in devastation, and they needed to be able to access our goods, and we wanted to help build their countries back to a functioning civilization. We stepped forward and said that we would be the center of the trade, and we would make items available to them because we were uninvaded other than Hawaii, and the world order was formed at that time. We also pledged, since we had the only working navy at the time, that we would be the security guards of the sea to assure that shipping trade could work. What I just heard was all deals are off. The world disorder is about to occur. Now you couple that with what's happening between Russia and Saudi Arabia and how they could be manipulating to destroy our oil industry, and then you couple that with a virus that came from Wuhan, China, a warehouse where they raise exotic animals like possums and crows and whatever for feed, for human consumption, and that came and now is affecting the world. The world disorder is done. I don't think that if President Trump gets reelected, he's going to have any difficulty finishing his wall. I don't think that if President Trump gets reelected, he's going to have any difficulty of convincing the major manufacturers of the United States that we need to bring our manufacturing back to our country, where we control what enters our borders, what comes across shipping lanes. I don't think that's going to be an issue. I don't think that globalization as we know it today will exist in the next 3 to 20 years. What happens beyond 20 years, I don't know, because something else will occur. I think the other thing that is going to become very apparent to all of us is this virus is not a one-time event. That in the advent of globalization, this is going to become a huge threat to our well-being from this point on. So we are entering a time of world disorder. And what I've just explained, I think, gives you some feel as to how we might react. But I then think you need to comprehend how this is going to affect countries like Germany, like Poland, like Japan, like China, like Russia, like England, that don't have the right demographic mix to become self-sufficient and self-supportive. In other words, Germany has a wonderful geographic construction, but because they have a demographic funnel rather than pyramid, they have to export their cars. They have to export the wonderful things that they make in their country. They can't consume them all themselves. So if we then say no, the only cars you're going to sell in this country are those that you make in this country, the whole mix of their economy changes. If you then look at Russia, whose biggest export is oil, and they're now down below $20 a barrel, their economy's upside down. They're giving their oil away. They can't make it for $20 a barrel. So what do? Their demographics is all screwed up. They have no funnel in the bottom, and the average man dies at 59 years old. So their economy is all screwed up, and from what I can interpret, their only salvation is to expand their borders. As a result of the dissolving of the Soviet Union, they don't have many seaports. Their only seaports are up here around St. Petersburg. They lost everything on the sea, Black Sea, I believe it is. So Russia becomes an aggressor once again. And they start moving south, and they start moving towards ports and changing their population mix. China, again, with a terrible demographic, with no oil. The only oil they get from Russia, and they don't have a geography to support the food needs of their country. And we know they have problems. If you'll recall, I did a video on the African swine flu. They just don't control their population, and it's so massive that they can survive. We are facing a total world disorder. As an investor, how does that affect you? I have talked about the big nine. I do not encourage you to get in what I think is they refer to as BAT, and that's Alibaba, Tencent, and Baidu. I don't know what's going to happen in China. Your best bet is to study what's happening in the United States. Be aware of what our president is going to do. He announced it. His words were, now is not the right time to do it. He didn't describe what it is, but I think what it is level the playing field and no longer be the defender of the rest of the world, unless you're going to pay us the price. And that may be the consequence. That may be the answer. Because he basically got on NATO that you aren't paying your fair share, you aren't doing your fair part, and that's going to change. But again, to repeat his words, now is not the right time to do it. If you find this video beneficial, I have a mailing list that I mail out, and I've got the website up. It's now Best of US Investors. Go to that URL, bestofusinvestors.com. Register. You'll get notified of any trades that I'm doing. The first thing you'll get is the stocks that I'm following and I'm interested in and that I want to hold as we move through this disruptive world. And then as I buy and sell, I will share my trades with you. Again, it's bestofusagents.com. Subscribe, ring the bell, give me a thumbs up, like, and I'll keep sharing my information with you.